Here at the Giver Marketing Network, we don't leave you drifting out in space. We connect you to a coach who will help you build and grow your marketing business. Our process acts as a guide on how to connect with other businesses, maintain good relations, and establish a presence on the Giver Marketing Network. Each member within this collaborative group will have the opportunity to leverage your talent and influence, a true network effect. If you are looking to collaborate on more projects, welcome to the Giver Marketing Network, the most trusted and highest rated collective of specialists on the planet. Here we have a group of like-minded professionals who focus on making valuable introductions and helping each other grow by teaming up. Imagine Upwork meets a network and a coach. The talent collectively includes services like visibility and SEO, creating logos, designing websites, managing social media, outreach messaging, visual storytelling, and much more. Think of what you could do with laser-focused allies, strengthening your business while offering your talents to the entire network. Click near this video for more information.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Giver Marketing Network Masterclass and Broadcast, all in one with Deane and I hosting today. We're going to be talking about advanced LinkedIn strategies. We're excited. Deane, are you excited?
Oh, I am excited. You know, I've been having so much fun with all of the different platforms on social media lately. So I'm super excited to be talking about LinkedIn today.
Here we go. So I'm going to bring up our visuals today so we can jump in. I got a little bit of allergies going, so if you start hearing me scream in the background, no worries. I'm just sneezing. It's totally
that time of year. It's okay. I'm in the same boat in Texas, so don't worry about it.
Well, good. So I'm going to bring up a screen that allows us to jump in and discuss advanced LinkedIn strategies. But first, we're going to cover some of the basics. So this is a classy appointment strategy overview, and then we're going to go into some advanced pieces as well. I'm Timothy Morgan, your CEO and founder of Giver Marketing Network. And then with us, we have Deane, ladies and gentlemen, of course, the certified marketing strategist of the group. She's a networking diva. If you look up networking diva or Deane, you will find her anywhere. And so it's so fun to be able to have her kind of wrapping her networking diva arms around this conversation. So this is going to be fun. Let's dive in, Deane. Are you ready?
I am. Let's do it.
Okay. So we have a lot to cover today. Normally we'd share stories and kind of get everything, but we're just going to start running here. So here we go. So marketing and sales, in the comments, put a definition of marketing and a definition of sales if you get a minute. A definition of marketing and a definition of sales if you get a minute. Okay, this will help us all think through, like, what approach are we taking on LinkedIn? All right, so first of all, the way we look at it, and this is kind of the clues to the question, right? The clues to the answers, if you will, right, to the question. If you think of marketing and sales in like an NFL or an American football game, generally what we like to think of is marketing as getting you to the red zone, which is different than the end zone. The red zone is really close to the end zone where you score the touchdown or the points, right? So, but sales get you into the end zone. So marketing and sales have to work together, and we do whole trainings on these kind of things. So just mention to us if you'd like more advanced trainings on these kind of things. But prospecting is technically marketing, not pure sales. And when we're talking about pure sales, we're talking about the art of closing the deal. Okay. So what we want to do is we want to look at marketing as the top of this larger funnel. It's like its own funnel within the larger funnel. Okay. So marketing itself focuses on conversations, micro conversions, clicks, comments, interactions, engagements, these kind of things. And sales really tracks one thing. It's the transaction itself, the revenue generating or the compensation generating transaction. Okay. And so we want to make sure, be clear that what we're talking about today is not necessarily the art of sales in its most pure form, but it's the art of prospecting. Okay. So prospecting gets you to the green, and then sales gives you the chance to putt it in. If you don't get to the green, you can't putt it in. And if you don't know how to putt, then it's really frustrating when you get to the green all the time and you don't know how to putt. So they both work together, but we're going to be talking about marketing today. Okay. And the last piece of our giver marketing blueprint talks about nurturing. Christine and I were talking about nurturing just even recently, and just discussing like, okay, why is it that most marketing professionals, not all, but most marketing professionals will forget about the art of nurturing? I mean, the spray and pray methods are very prevalent out there, and that's fine when you're first beginning. But when you start developing and maturing your marketing strategies, that's not going to work. I mean, the spamming and hoping something good happens is just not a good long-term strategy. Honestly, like when you first start your business, you might need to do what you got to do just to get conversations going. But at some point, very quickly, you need to go into a more classy approach, right? So, Christine, can you maybe comment on that just a little bit?
A little. Yeah, I'll try and keep it brief, but this is one of my favorite topics, right? A lot of times we think of, I just need people, I need sales, and it's really, that's what your mindset is, right? And so when you come into the conversation with the idea, I need to make this sale, you're not thinking about how can I build this relationship, right? You might be able to make one sale, but if you build a relationship, not only have you made that sale, but then you get to sell to their friends, and they get to become synergy partners with you, which sends business back in your direction. So you could have done it faster, perhaps a little bit harder there on the sales, but then you've only got that one sale, right? As opposed to the relationship with them.
Why burn 9 bridges just to get one sale when you can just keep all the bridges in play? Come on, let's go. And you'll probably end up with the same amount or more sales even in the short term, honestly. So there's a strategy here that Christine Deane can elaborate on more, but we're going to be talking about LinkedIn and how this helps with this. So Christine, you are a networking diva. So when we look at like nurturing just 101, like basics of nurturing in a business or even a nonprofit, just basics of nurturing in an organization, we have some basic, like, introduction, brief emails, asking questions, of course, social media connections and interactions, giving something people value. But number 5 is really your one of the many, wheelhouses that you have. It's right in that sweet spot for you. Can you explain a little bit more what number 5 means on this list?
Absolutely. When we talk about invite somewhere you will be, well, I'm always somewhere, whether it's online or in person, right? So never go someplace alone. I mean, that's a good rule of thumb right there. If you're going to do lunch, might as well do lunch with somebody else and use it.
Write it down, ladies and gentlemen. Never go somewhere alone if you can help it. Like, write that down, put it in the comments.
Use everything as an opportunity, right? We all need some alone time once in a while. I admit it, right? But at the same time, right, these are opportunities to build relationships, not just with the people you're going to meet at the event, but if you bring a buddy with you, now you've built that relationship with them, in addition to being able to introduce them to the network at wherever you're going. So if you're going to go anyway, why not use it as an opportunity to deepen relationships? And just this morning, I'd done a post that talked about 4 different events I've got going on this week, and letting people know what's going on. But it's not just a spray thing like social. Okay, you put it up there and you're like, it's a billboard, they will come if I build it, right? No, that's not how that works, right? You might put it on there, a few people might see it depending on how many followers you've got, but actually invite people one-on-one, whether that's a text message, an email, whatever it is, right? A message on Messenger, whatever you need to do, but let them know personally that this isn't just a spray thing. You're thinking about them. Hey, I think this would be a great event for you to attend with me. Or, hey, we'll do lunch on the way, or, right?
Yep, that's where number 5 and 6 kind of work together. Send a personal note. You can even send 43 people the same personal note. Just keep it authentic. Like, I actually want to spend time with this person at this event. Like, there's nothing inauthentic about copy paste as long as it's the people that you actually want to spend time with. So great tip there, Christine, to just make sure and I love that. Don't go anywhere alone. Within reason, just try your very best to invite people to places you're going to be if it makes sense for them, if it blesses them, Bring them to the room. Let's go. What are we
Well, and
waiting?
that list, that list of 7 different items, if there was anything on that list that you're like, oh, I'd like to know more about that, right? Chances are we've got a training in our group, right? Our giver marketing group there on Facebook. So feel free to come in, join us, and ask questions. And there's trainings in there. Let us know what you're looking for. We'll tag you on stuff.
With over 100 marketing professionals rolling around in our network and as official members, and then many others in our Facebook group, please connect at givermarketing.com/group, as Christine is mentioning there. givermarketing.com/group. In the lower right corner, you can see that link. Okay, so move at the speed of trust. Don't try to sell too quickly. This is a principle based on a book by, I believe it was Covey, if I remember right. And so you want to, if you want to learn more about that, look up that resource.
But really stop and absorb that for a moment. The speed of trust. When you really take a moment and think about that, it's kind of mind blowing, right? Because it's not the speed of how fast you want to sell or how fast they're ready to buy. It's how fast the speed of trust. That's mind blowing when you think about it right there, right? Have you taken the time to build a relationship with this person?
There's another resource called Slow Down, Sell Faster. And it kind of alludes to this. It's just a great complementary resource, and it's great based on what you just said, Christine. So this conversation alone could be an hour conversation. It's just amazing. So, but we're setting the tone. How to use LinkedIn with class and how to go advanced levels. So you got to ask for the sale. We all agree on that, but it's only after that trust is built and a good fit is established. Why in the world would you try to sell why would you sell a newspaper to somebody who can't read? Or why would you sell, a product or a service to somebody who couldn't use it? Or we got to make sure it's a good fit. We got to sell them something else that can help them and bless their life, but don't sell them something just because you have a quota. Okay. So let's just keep it classy, right? Okay. All right. So LinkedIn and Facebook are different animals. We're talking about LinkedIn primarily today, but we're starting to notice something. Christine and I were just discussing and strategizing earlier, and we realized, you know what? There's actually some principles here that we can carry into both platforms, but you got to know what you're doing and where you're going. So, Christine, can you just briefly mention what you were discussing earlier?
Yeah, I mean, the idea, some of the similarities you're going to see is that we're seeing the personal brand becoming more and more important, right? Mm-hmm. So you have a company and you might have a company brand, but then the personal brand itself, and there's an opportunity on the different platforms, and how you approach it's going to be a little bit different, but we're seeing that similarity across the platforms is the importance of a personal brand. So if you haven't taken the time to really dive into your personal brand and what that looks like, it's probably worth spending some time investing in that to figure out, who am I? What do I represent? What's important to me? What values do I want to put out there, right? And you can build that brand in either way, whether it's on your LinkedIn or your Facebook. But we're going to focus on LinkedIn today.
Yes. Look up Timothy Morgan. Look up Christine Deane on both LinkedIn and Facebook, and you'll see how we leverage both of the platforms. Christine Deane is an advanced user on Facebook. I believe what's the term for it now, Christine? They always
the Facebook professional mode. It's turning your personal one into, and we've done a training on that too, but we didn't get to go as nearly as in depth as I would like to go. It's even more fun than that.
All right, so back to LinkedIn. We have nearly 1 billion users at the time of recording, up over 70%. It's the number one business-to-business channel by far, not even close. 80% of the leads come from LinkedIn versus some of the other platforms. Average income of a LinkedIn user is nearly triple of Facebook, so that's worth noting. Even though Facebook has more users, the average income of each LinkedIn user is different. So it's almost like fishing in a very specific lake versus an ocean. It's just a very different experience, but there's some similar principles. 41% of millionaires are on the platform. Open rate is nearly double of a typical email campaign if you do it right. And we're going to show you some tips on just direct messaging, and then some how to generate referrals, which is amazing. Okay, so we know that LinkedIn is amazing in certain aspects of the way you use it. There's a personal brand component, like Christine Deane, like Christine was mentioning earlier. your personal profile is really where we're going to focus on today. So if you have any questions about your business page or posting, how frequently, all these kind of things, just ping us and we'll get you a whole training on social media posting and management and outreach and those kind of things. But we're going to focus specifically on your personal brand and how to direct message with class and get a bunch of referrals. All right. So if you want hundreds of connections, more booked appointments, and fewer moments of cold calling out there, this is the place to be, because we're going to talk about how to connect with your prospects. And by prospects, we mean clients and customers, of course. Okay. That's the top of the list. But what about your team members? What about when you're recruiting talent in any way, shape, or form? LinkedIn is probably one of the best places to find talent. All right. So that's one of the reasons our network is doubled every year, is because of LinkedIn interactions. Power partners. Mm-hmm. Hey, they might be in an adjacent, industry, or, you need to network with somebody. Christine Deane has whole trainings on this. Reach out to her about power partnerships and how that works. Preferred vendors. What if you just need a quality person to manage your books, or a quality person to, it's some kind of vendor that you're going to try to hire somebody anyway? Might as well double check and triple check on LinkedIn whether you got.
I use LinkedIn in all those ways all the time. It really is useful.
It is. And you can go to Facebook and go to groups and ask questions and do a similar thing. There's nothing wrong with doing both. But LinkedIn has a very easy way to search for people. So that's why it makes it so helpful. All right. So what we're talking about today is the art of getting those almighty appointments coming in on your calendar, generally a 10 to 20 minute warm phone or Zoom chat. And listen, this can be done like clockwork, but without going too deep into just this part, we're going to hold on and buckle up, because we're going to get into a referral strategy as an advanced level training here in just a minute. But we got to cover the basics here. So 5 to 10% of your connections currently, let's say you have, 5,000 connections. 10% of that is 500 appointments just waiting and sitting there in your inbox right now, in your connections right now, waiting to have an appointment. Your calendar can fill up very quickly. This is an actual screenshot. Everything in green is an appointment from LinkedIn. It's an actual strategy that actually works today, like right now. And we came across it by accident. Our intern wanted something to do, and we gave him some basic direction on LinkedIn years ago. And 200 appointments later, we were like, eureka, there's something here. So we decided to start practicing, playing with it, proving it out. And then now we're finally training on it. It's not an annoying pitch message strategy. It's not a post 33 times a day strategy. Those are all other conversations to be had. This is a classy direct messaging strategy. Okay. Consistently booking 50, 70, 80, 90 appointments a month using this strategy. Many of our team members, our clients, are using the same strategy. Okay. So we actually use it, but we also train on it, that kind of a thing. No ad spend, no spam necessary. In fact, we discourage the spam part. Ad spend is starting to get interesting right now, but we still need to prove it out and make sure that it's good for your brand. All right. So LinkedIn and online scheduler is all you need. We recommend Calendly, and we recommend making sure that your profile is dialed in. Take a screenshot of this, ladies and gentlemen. This right here is worth its weight in gold. This is one slide you don't want to miss. Make sure and update your profile, whether you're on LinkedIn or on another platform. Just update your profile. So look, I don't know how many people I've come across where they're legit business people, but their profile looks like they just started their business. Like, it doesn't look right. Does that?
At least every 6 months, go in, take a look, and see what needs to be updated. Sometimes we make some adjustments in our business. Maybe we've done something interesting lately that we're like, oh, I didn't even highlight, my volunteer service award from the president. Oh, let me put that on there, right? So, go in and check your profile once in a while. Make sure it's up to date.
Well, we know for sure other people are checking it out, so you might as well check it out and update it every once in a while, like Christine's saying. I mean, we're seeing people with just a few thousand connections, seeing, over, we're seeing hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people viewing your profile every 90 days. So you want to definitely make sure that's up to date. Okay. All right. So speaking of Calendly, like we mentioned earlier, this is a scheduler. A lot of people know about it. If you don't, check it out. That's fine. Go to givermarketing.com/Calendly if you want to get a little extra goodies there. But ultimately, you want a scheduler that just works for you. Some people just use Google Scheduler. Some people, there's some limitations to that, but there's others that use other schedulers. The point is get a scheduler that works for you where you can book a 10, 15, maybe 20-minute call with somebody with ease, with reminders, and give yourself a little buffer in between appointments. We don't need to go into all the detailed training on this because we've done some more extensive training on this earlier, but make sure and put that buffer and get yourself a scheduler. If you don't have a scheduler, this would be a good time to just stop the training, just pause it right here and go find yourself a scheduler and then come back, because everything we say from this point forward isn't going to make sense unless you have the efficient, expected link called
if you don't have a scheduler nowadays, people are expecting it. They're going to look at you really strangely, and it saves you that time of the ping pong back and forth. We had to do 10 messages just to find a time slot that we were both available. That drives me crazy, right? So have something ready.
God forbid you get the wrong time zone. Oh, goodness gracious. Those days are over. Okay. So let's assume, Christine, that everybody has a scheduler or they pause this.
And they're using an electronic calendar, okay? We're just going to make that assumption. If you don't, get one.
That's right. That's right. Okay. So to give you some time to go ahead and grab your scheduler, if you don't have one already, or bookmark it, or at least, right? Permission Marketing is a great resource by an amazing author, like one of the best in our era, Seth Godin. Anything by Seth Godin, game on. Anything by this person, he's an original gangster of classy, permission-based marketing. And that's the direction we're going here. Think of it like candid dating versus proposing. Candid dating is like marketing, proposing is like sales. Okay. So if you think of it that way, like there's different micro commitments that go along with dating, but when you're proposing, that's a major commitment. Okay. We're going all in here. All right. So we're talking about the art of building trust right now. That's what we're doing. All right. So long form messaging is not necessary for this strategy. Very clear.
In fact, please don't do it. I had somebody send me like 5-paragraph essay. I'm like, oh no. Next.
Yeah. Especially early in the conversation, which is what we're talking about. Do not.
You have not built the relationship far enough for us to want to invest that much time in reading your 5-paragraph essay, no matter how brilliantly written it is.
That's like saying to somebody, hey, I want to go on a quick date and just grab a quick bite to eat. Should be about an hour. And then you're sitting there talking without permission for like 5 hours. Like they're like hinting like I got to go, and you just keep talking. Like that's not okay. Like you can't do that stuff, right? It's a similar feeling to somebody who gets long form without
just watch
permission.
it. I got this call the other day, right? Here, just watch it. Do you have time to watch a video? I always have to say, how long is this video? And they go, about 30 minutes. I'm like, nope, you got a 4-minute version?
4-minute version I can run through AI.
And this is somebody I've known for years and I like, okay? Yeah. So if I don't know you, what are the chances are when you send me a 30-minute video, I'm going to watch it or read a 5-paragraph essay? Not happening, right? Be likable. We don't like you at the point that you've like bombarded us with this huge information, right?
Keep it classy, San Diego. Yes. Keep it simple, San Diego. Let's go. Okay. All right. So just quick conversation starters is what we're going to be talking about. And then we're going to get into some advanced pieces of that too. But the searching capabilities of LinkedIn are what makes it special. If you were to say, hey, what makes LinkedIn special? This is it right here. You can search for people. You can go through filters geographically, company. If you get some paid versions of LinkedIn, you can look at all sorts of negative keyword searches and all sorts of fancy things and build lists and all these different things with Sales Navigator. We can talk about that later, but ultimately just to be able to search for the people you actually want to talk to is extremely important. That means you can do the heavy lifting on the front end without spamming people and asking them to pre-qualify themselves. You are pre-qualifying them. Does that make sense? Christine, do you want to elaborate on this at all?
Right. If you're sending messages to people that just, they have no interest in what you've got, right? you've turned them off. Not only are they not clients, but now they're anti-clients, right? If you've blown up their messages and you sent them 5 messages in a row that have related to nothing that they're interested in, right? So they're not just, now you've damaged your brand with them. Oh, I got this horrible, right? You don't want to do that. Don't damage your brand.
Well said. Well said. So we're going to talk about first degree connections. These are the connections you already have. They've already said yes. You've met them at a networking event, either online or in person, or you've known them from a previous job, or you just connected with them at some point at a church event or a concert or something where you met them, and they might remember your name at least, and you've connected with them on LinkedIn. Okay. All right, great. So these are your first degree connections. You've sent out a connection request and they've accepted it. We have basically an implied permission here to go ahead and message them every once in a while, see how they're doing, check in with them, ask a quick question. We really don't have social permission to send them a novel, but we do have a permission to them to ping them every once in a while, like you would a quick text message or something like this. Okay. All right. So ultimately, you can have up to 30,000 accepted connections. The request you sent out can be accepted by 30,000 people, and you can be followed by as many as you want. So ultimately, you don't want to be too stingy with who you actually reach out to and connect with, but you got to make sure they're a legitimate organization or business or brand that you want to connect with. Okay. All right. So let's assume you have at least 1,000 first degree connections. If you don't, try to get to at least 500 as fast as possible, because that's a big deal on LinkedIn. But let's assume you have at least 1,000, if not many more. Okay. Send out a message to the people you actually want to connect with. If you have 1,000 and you feel like, there's 300 here that I actually want to circle back with, I'm going to send a message to those 300. Okay, great. So let's assume that's happening. What do you send them? I send them a direct message. It's been a while since we connected. Are you open to a quick call in the next couple of weeks? This message right here is probably one of the best opening, non-threatening messages. There are iterations and variations of this. You can play with it, but just don't add a bunch of sentences. Don't add a video yet. Don't add any signature. Notice there's not a first name here. This is like a text message saying, hey, and by the way, you don't even have to put your name in the signature or anything like this, because your name's all over this. That's how social media works. Your name is everywhere. So just send them the note and just say, hey, it's been a while. And you can add a little flavor in here, like it's been a while since we talked about such and such in your area. Are you open to a quick call in the next? You can add some context, but please do not change this dramatically. Otherwise, you will see a low interaction, engagement, and conversion rate. Christine, do you have any thoughts on just how short and sweet some of these kind of messages?
Short and sweet, right? Give them a reason to want to talk to you. This isn't intimidating at all. They're not going to be like, oh, they're going to pitch me, right? They're not feeling that sense of dread when they read that. And we get pitched so often now in LinkedIn, right? So you really want this to be that just gentle step in, right? Oh, I'm too busy right now. Okay, no problem. I'll follow up with you in a couple months, right?
Here's a little hint for those who have accidentally pitch slap people. In a message like this, if you've already gone through a bunch of pitching kind of messages and you're like, you need to repent, first of all. But if you've already done that, put a little PS here. Hey, I'm not interested in really selling something to each other. I just want to check in and see what you're up to. Maybe we can make some referrals. You can put a little PS here to cover your previous sins if you'd like. But if all things being equal, if you at least send them this simple message, you should get a 20 to 30%.
The idea is I'm trying to create more authentic relationships on LinkedIn.
Yep. So you should get about a 20 to 30% response rate for this kind of message if you have a healthy group that you're reaching out to. Okay. Your inbox should light up. Did you catch
that? He said 20 to 30% response rate. Okay. Well, what about the other 70%, Timothy? What's going on here, right? So you need to understand, just because it seems kind of like a low percentage, don't get your feelings hurt. Some people aren't on there very often. Some people only come in long enough to check their birthday messages, right? So they're not playing in that space all the time. So don't be offended if you only hear back from 30%, okay? It doesn't mean the other 70 hate you. It's okay.
That's right. That's pretty common for most platforms, including email campaigns and things like this. But I will say this: the other 70% don't feel like they've been pitched too early, and so now you have the social grace and the social equity to go ahead and circle back with them again in a couple of months and just say, hey, I'm going to be in your area, going to this event. To Christine's point earlier, would you like to, would you be, are you in town during this time? I'm going to be at this event. You're not, it may not even be a paid event. Like you're just inviting them somewhere you're already going to be. And there's a lot of strategies that you can incorporate into this for the other 70% that maybe didn't respond as a second layer. But ultimately, if you can get 20 to 30% of, let's say, 1,000 messages, once we get to this appointment booking piece, you're gonna love it, because you're gonna have some good appointments coming in. But before the appointments come in, you have an inbox that starts lighting up. It lights up with those 20 to 30% that you send the messages out to, and eventually they'll see these messages. It's just a matter of when, to Christine's point. But your inbox lighting up is a good sign. That means you have a good messaging, a good profile, and people are checking out what you're doing and possibly interested. Okay. So
right, just remember, this whole phase right here is about building relationships. It's not about, don't keep sales in mind, right? Build relationships with those people that I really want to talk to. So keep that in mind at this phase.
And they may buy something from you eventually or even soon. But the point is you're going to build relationships with them either way. They might have referrals for you or something else. So, okay. So ultimately, it's a mutually beneficial conversation. So think of it like, to Christine's point, it's not a one-sided conversation. It's a mutually beneficial catch-up call or conversation that needs to happen so that you can help each other in some way, shape, or form. Especially if you've already looked at their profile and said, yeah, I want to circle back with this person. They know a lot of people that I'd like to talk to, or gosh, I could sure help them, or maybe they can help me on something. That's totally mutually.
Absolutely. I often say I'm exploring. I'd love for us to explore collaboration opportunities.
Right.
Most people are like, oh.
Great language. Yeah. Collaboration, mutual benefit, together, we catching up with each other. Like this kind of language is what you want to use here. And we've trained hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of brands on how to do this. So ultimately, at the end of your conversation, at least in this round of conversation, your icebreaker, I like to call it your ice warmer, because you're not breaking anything. You're just warming them up to make sure that trust can be built again or developed even more. Sounds great. So we don't play phone tag or message tag. Find a day here, pick a time, and I'll call you then. Look forward to our quick chat. Some kind of really relaxed, casual, like doesn't feel like it's automated. And by the way, this can be automated up to a point, but especially the icebreaker message, the ice warmer message earlier, the initial message, that can be automated. But once you get into these messages here, it's got to feel very, very much like you typed it out or you just made a quick message that makes sense to them. Okay. This is the first time we encourage putting a link in your message. Notice that. No first names, no signatures, no videos, no PDFs, no swipe files, no anything. Just no websites, nothing. All we did was the whole goal was to get him to an appointment so we can find mutual benefit. That's it.
Don't send them to your website. Go check out my website here. I don't know you yet. I'm not invested in you yet. I have no reason to go check out your website. I didn't seek you out. You seek me out, right? So think about it from the other person's perspective, right? What are they expecting? What are realistic expectations of that? Don't send me to your website. I don't even know you yet. I don't want to spend an hour surfing through your website.
We actually highly recommend when we do sales trainings for multi-billion-dollar companies in their offices, we actually recommend each sales rep or each brand represented actually put their personal name in their scheduler in some way, shape, or form. At least your first name, if not your first and last name. They're going to immediately assume you're going to be pitching them a product or a service, and you might at some point if they want you to, but you're asking permission the whole time. So we can't assume that on this early part of the conversation. All right. So That's how you book as many appointments as you want with your first degree connections. Okay. As many as you have a certain group that you want to reach out to. And basically it's a nurturing campaign at the core of it. To your point earlier, Christine, it's just a way to circle back with the people that are already in your database, your LinkedIn
They're already
database.
in your network. So it's actually harder to acquire a new client than it is to acquire a client from somebody that you already know, right? They're already in your ecosystem.
Yep. Hey, gentle reminder, please do not send a link to anybody without them saying, yes, sure, sounds good, to wanting a call. In fact, I'm going to go back to this. Once they agree to a call, see the red lettering at the top. Once they agree to a call, somebody put that in the comments. Once they agree to a call. Once they agree to a call. Okay, so make sure that they've agreed to something before sending an action item or a step or a link, okay? They have to agree to whatever the next step is. Otherwise, this is not permission marketing. This is over the top, forceful spamming is what it is. So let's make sure and keep that
Yeah,
class.
you think about it, it's the idea of saying yes, right? You got to get their consent. You're trying to get them to start saying yes. Yeah, I'd like to call. Yeah, I'd like to talk more about this. Yes, you're getting them into that mindset of saying yes. So if you just ignore that right from the beginning, you have not set that right tone moving forward. You want them to be an active part of this conversation, not just sitting there listening to you spam them, right?
All right, so that's our basic training on LinkedIn. We're going to get into some bonus training right now. So listen very closely. This is so simple. You're going to go, what? That's okay. That's actually too simple. If you listen closely, you'll see how myself, Christine, others have gotten hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of referrals based on this kind of strategy. You can use this on other platforms. You can use this in different ways. But here's the thing. If you have first degree connections on LinkedIn, or if you have a bunch of friends on Facebook, or if you, the list goes on, you can ask permission from an influencer or someone who's highly connected. You can ask permission to drop their name. Not everybody will say yes, but once they say yes to that ability to be able to use their name, like in this example, I might ask Christine, would you be okay with me connecting with some of your people on LinkedIn? Christine says, let me think about it. You might say, Christine might say, tell me what you're going to send them. Fair? Right, Christine? You're going to at least ask.
Absolutely. And I've had somebody reach out and said, oh, well, so-and-so reached out to me and they said they knew you. I go, well, I do know them, but I didn't give them permission to reach out to my network. So you really do need to ask permission, because I was offended, right? You're going around dropping my name and I know how you do business, and no, I don't want you to drop my name. I'm about to unfriend you, right?
Yep. So
That's
again,
a great way to lose those connections and damage those relationships if you try and play this game without permission. Essential to get permission.
Keyword
Don't just
permission.
start doing it. I'm connected, therefore I can do it. No, because when the person finds out, you're liable to get blocked and black labeled. Okay.
That's true. Yeah, in the early days, I made a mistake in this area, so I can definitely speak to what you're saying there, Christine. So thank you for reminding us about permission. We should call this the permission LinkedIn appointment strategy. It's just not as interesting of language, but that's really what it comes down to. If you want to build trust, you need to move at the speed of permission is another way to put it, okay? So you can ask people to connect with their people on LinkedIn. So you're going after second degree connections, but they're friends of friends, they're connections of connections, okay? So once you get a yes, then you can type in their name in the LinkedIn search, click on second degree, and then go through and see if anybody looks interesting. Find your top 50 or 100 or several hundred people that you want to connect with, especially if they're just really highly connected to the right people that you want to talk to. This is a brilliant strategy, okay? And it works. All you're doing is adding a note to your connection request. And LinkedIn has limited this depending on what you have, a free account or a premium account or a sales, different. But look, if you start seeing this work, upgrade until you can get more of the ability to connect with more people and add a note. Adding a note is a really important piece to this. Okay. I'm just letting you know. So you want at least a premium account to do that. All right. So name dropping strategy with permission. This is the language we would recommend at least starting with. You can tweak it a little bit, but drop somebody's name. Like for example, in our conversation earlier, I would say something like, "Hey, Christine Deane connected us," or "recommended we connect" is another way to phrase that. Would you have a few minutes to chat on the phone the next couple of weeks? So if Christine asked me, "What message are you going to send my people?" I would just tell her this. I would just I'm sending this message. It's no hard sale. Nothing. It's just a connection request so that I can expand my network, meet some more amazing people. And if Christine said, "Well, I'll let you connect with my people if you let me connect with your people," there's nothing wrong with that. That's quid pro quo. That's law of reciprocation, and you have to decide whether you're willing to do that or not. Okay. All right. So there's some other pieces here. I'm not going to spend time on it, too much time on it, but if somebody reaches out to you just randomly and asks to connect with you, most of those people are not worth connecting with because there's no context. But there are some exceptions. So maybe 1 out of 10, 2 out of 10, depending on, maybe you went to a big event and a bunch of people reached out to you. They heard your name. You want to go ahead and say, "Thanks for connecting. Should we grab that quick call soon?" Or "grab a quick call soon." There's nothing wrong with circling back with people who have reached out to you, or maybe you even try to reach out to them and they didn't really respond to the messaging. They just accepted your connection request. So there's a couple of different pieces here that we don't have time to go into in depth, but I will say this. LinkedIn Sales Navigator has some fun tools that include negative keyword searches and saving lists and different things like this. If you want to invest, $80 to $100 a month or whatever the price is right now, this might be worth considering. All right, so here's your action assignment, and then we're going to go into some bonus training real quick. 100 messages this week to people that you've already filtered. Spend 30 minutes on a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and watch what happens. Here, I'll tell you exactly what will happen. You'll get 20 to 30 responses, and then 20 to 30% of those will book an appointment. So you'll immediately start booking appointments. It's just amazing how it works, especially if you're keeping it classy. Okay. All right. Referral ping pong. Let's talk about this for just a minute, Christine, and wrap up. So this is an advanced level of learning how to connect with people on LinkedIn in a creative way. If you want to make an introduction on LinkedIn, this is a powerful tool. Go to where you're the scribe button, where you're going to compose button, where you're going to compose a message, but include 2 names at the top instead of 1. So what you're going to do is introduce people, but you're in the conversation. It's a 3-way group introduction. What we highly recommend is not only putting 2 names at the top, like for example, Christine Deane, if I wanted to introduce you to Joel Snyder, I would put Christine Deane and Joel Snyder at the top, and then I'm the one composing the message. So that means all 3 of us are in the message. Mm-hmm. Here's the key. I would highly recommend tagging each person in the actual message, in the copy itself, because if you can make it really easy for each other to click on each other's profile, there's a way higher chance that they're going to actually book an appointment or check each other's profile out. Okay.
Well, so Timothy, I'm going to give you my cheat because, I do this all the time. This is my favorite space to play in. And I do have a tool that I use that makes this process of doing group connections really fast. And the AI pulls a little information from each person. And it just, if you want to know more about that tool, and this is the playground you want to play in, is these warm introductions, these warm referrals, and being able to ask for warm introductions. I've got a great tool for that.
Yes. Ask Christine. She uses it all the time. It also generates a post. So it's like a triple positive. So
it's a triple. It hits it generates the AI with the post. It'll create this group message for you, and it'll turn around and send an email introducing the people. So it's the trifecta of referrals, warm referrals, and introductions.
Yes. Reach out to Christine Deane and say, "Hey, I saw you on the Giver broadcast. I want to know about that tool." All right. So making that tool really just, or just manually doing it, whatever you need to do to make these introductions, make it happen. Okay. Because if you're playing referral ping pong, you can literally ask people, hey, if I send you, 3 or 4 introductions in the next couple of days, would you be willing to do the same? If they say yes to that, it's on. Now your referral partnerships go through the roof. So you'll end up with a bunch of messages with 2 people's faces or their profile pictures in the left side of the inbox because you've made a group introduction. You've made an introduction on LinkedIn and you're part of that group. So not only do you get the privilege of being able to make that introduction, but you get to see the interaction that's happening between them. You make sure that so-and-so is responding to so-and-so and that the conversation doesn't go dark. You're making sure that you're tracking that at least they started interacting with each other. Maybe somebody's not as active on LinkedIn. That's fine. At least you know that. And then you can move that conversation over to text or Facebook or something else. But that is the way when it comes to introductions, especially on LinkedIn. Something interesting to note here too. I mentioned tagging people in the actual body of the message itself. If you tag those people and then you mention something like, hey, your names came to mind after a recent conversation, if the connection hasn't been made yet, well, make it happen, my friends. Glad to introduce professionals doing good in the world. Set a call with each other, ? Some kind of light introduction like this. And by the way, you don't have to write a novel here for each person like you would in an email. In an email, it makes sense. You got to write as much as you can about each person so they can have context. But here, all they have to do is click on each other's profile because they're tagged in the message. All they have to do is click on each other's profile and they can find out as much as they want or even more than they want. Leveraging LinkedIn.
Usually they can figure it out. Sometimes it helps to give them a little hint like, hey, I think you two would have a great conversation about, right?
Sure.
Just to get the ball rolling, right?
Yep.
I think you two would be great synergy partners, or I think you two could really add to each other's networks or something. Just give them a little hint as a teaser that makes them go, I think I do want to respond to this.
Keyword hint and teaser, because if you do too much, you're actually creating a maybe less than desirable sales pitch for the other person. And that's not what you want to do here. You want to give a little hint at maybe context or why or a reason, but really keep it as light as possible because you got to let their LinkedIn profile and their curiosity kind of do the heavy lifting. So that'll be super fun. All right. So once you make an introduction to somebody or they make an introduction to somebody in your, or you receive an introduction even, this is a way to respond when somebody makes an introduction to you. Here's the social grace that you need to bring to play, okay? So like, for example, if I made an introduction to Christine and I introduced her to a gentleman named Joel, then what she would do in the response, in the thread, is say, hey, Timothy, thanks so much for introducing us. You're such a connector. Great. So I get my little pat on the back. And then Christine, sends a little note in the same message to Joel. Joel, super excited. Look for a direct message so we can set something up. Keeping it really classy, really simple. You're not wasting anybody's time. They can quickly glance in this and say, okay, great. And then they can click on whoever's profile they want and make sure they're connected or ask questions whoever they want. At this point, it is the wheel is moving, like the momentum is happening at this point. Christine, do you have any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, be the first person. A lot of times I'll do this I'll have somebody on that wants to meet people and I actually do and tell them, okay, respond right now. Yep. I just did the connection, go in and respond, say, thanks, Christine. You're such a great, throw an adjective in there, great connector, right? And would love to chat with you, whoever the new person is that they've introduced you to, and a lot of times I'll do something, your booking link or mine, right? Or something that's kind of fun that brings in a little personality because you want to have a little fun. Is this going to be somebody you want to talk to, right? So give them a reason to want to talk to you. It's okay to have a little fun in this. Just once again, keep it brief.
You're setting the tone. Yeah. I mean, if you're going to end up doing any business together on any level or even become referral partners yourself, you're setting the tone that you're thankful, you're responsive, you're relational, you're not spammy, like you're interested in a conversation.
Yeah, we'd love to explore some collaboration opportunities. Ooh, I see we have a lot of synergy,
Yep.
Can't wait to talk to you, right? Something positive that makes them say, yeah, I want to talk to this person, as opposed to, I'm looking so busy. My schedule is full. Do I really want to squeeze this person in, right? You want to give them a reason that they want to squeeze you in.
100%, 100%. All right. So as we wrap up, what do we send people directly? What does Christine send Joel? If I made the introduction to Christine and Joel, what should Christine send to Joel directly without me in the conversation?
Hey, Joel, Timothy connected us, and I'm really excited about having a conversation with you. Here's my booking link, or if that's not convenient for you, want to send me yours, feel free.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Just take that
Anything.
further. The whole goal is to get them on a real call, right? To get them on a phone call, to get them on a quick Zoom, whatever it is. Start building that relationship. Don't pitch them anything. Don't sell them anything. Don't send them to a website. Don't send them a PDF. No. Get them on a call and get to know them first. Okay.
Yep. There is a temptation by a certain percentage of the population to overeducate before you get onto a relationship-based interaction. And I get it. We all get it. There might be people who will ask for that. And once they ask for it, you can give them a little bit more. But really,
wait till they ask.
Wait till they ask. If you start sending that stuff out, you're going to get such a low booking rate. It's not even funny. Like you'll end up with like 10%, 20% of the booking rate that you normally would by giving too much information, spending too much time trying to pitch them before you even get on the call. And you might even justify it by saying, this is the way I pre-qualify. And I'm going to challenge you on this. Pre-qualify by looking at the filters, looking at their profile, having an assistant or you even yourself looking through and making sure you want to get on the call with them before you even send them a message. Otherwise, it's
pre-qualifying before you even sent the message. Yes.
Yeah, don't let the messaging pre-qualify. Let the filters pre-qualify. And you can put that in the comments. Let the filters do the pre-qualification, at least initially. Once you get a 10-minute phone call going, you'll know right away whether there's an alignment as a power partner, as a potential client, or as a potential customer, whatever it is. Okay. Mm-hmm. So if you want to go to that next level with your LinkedIn strategy, book an appointment with myself or look up Christine Deane, and you can definitely connect with us, and we're here to help you. Okay. So if you need more information, again, just look us up on LinkedIn, set a call with one of the links that you see here on the screen. And that's it for today, ladies and gentlemen. We wanted to give you some little behind the scenes kind of advanced training when it comes to LinkedIn and how we actually use it on a daily basis. Like we actually do this. Christine, how do we wrap this up today? And I know we have some networking opportunities happening here.
Yeah, I just want to say, think of this not as I'm trying to book a sales call. Think of it as I'm trying to build a relationship. If you keep that as the focus, and if you've been using AI to help develop things, AI is a great space too, but don't tell it I want a sales call, right? Tell it I'm trying to build relationships, and that's a game changer on what it will produce for you. So keep that in mind as you're moving forward. Not just I want to sell to this one person, but who else do they know? Who else can I meet in their network? Who can they refer me to, right? Think beyond just one sale and think about building relationships so that you're adding these people to your network. Being part of someone's network is more than just their prospect, right? They're part of your network. They're part of your community, your family, your tribe, right? Yep. So use this as an opportunity to build those.
What would you say to somebody who says, I don't have time to send these sequences of messages? Like, I just need to get right to the point and just tell them what I do. Like, what would you say to somebody who's like, I don't have time?
They're not really building relationships at that point. Do you mean you're just selling widgets? I mean, you know what I mean? You're not. So really, but the VA can come in and help with a lot of this, right? If you know what your standard responses are, you can say, okay, I've got a VA that can help me. When someone said yes, here's some standard responses you can pick and choose from, copy and paste, right? Yeah. And just the goal is to get them on the call with you, right? And get them to know you and build that relationship. Because I know for me, my calendar is pretty full, right? Yeah. So me trying to do something that when people say, oh, I can get 70, appointments, I'm like, I don't have time for 70 appointments. Yeah. Maybe you're at a point where you need a closer, right? And that's okay too, but that's a different strategy.
Yeah, either a closer or a VA, or you need to reach out to more specific types of people where the appointments are higher quality. What's great about this kind of strategy is you're trying to increase your quality of conversations over time. And even when we start name dropping and generate referrals or introductions that are happening this way, it can create a higher quality or a higher caliber conversation over time, as opposed to, oh man, when I first started, those appointments were amazing, and then they ended up being horrible over time. It's like, no. We want to go the other direction. We want the conversation.
Right. And that's where those introductions come in. That's where people are referring you. When you start getting that referral stage, you start seeing those introductions get better and better. That's where the relationship comes in. It's not just spray and hope, right? You're actually getting the kind of people you want to have conversations with. So you want to be building those relationships. So you're getting good introductions.
If you don't have a virtual assistant or somebody that can help you with this and your time is a premium, reach out to us. We'll help you set up a whole little campaign that makes sense, and it'll generate more appointments with higher quality conversations than you probably have ever had.
So a lot of times I'll train people's virtual assistants on how to do something specific they need in their business. And that's a game changer, right? Because we only have so much time in the day. You got to figure out where you're going to put that time.
Come on. Hey, Christine, speaking of relationships, what are we doing on Wednesdays? Like, tell us more about this.
We love building relationships. So come hang out with us. We do networking for marketers. So if you're in the PR space, if you're in the media space, anything in that area of marketing, come hang out with us. Don't be a lonelypreneur. It's nice to have other, top decision makers, as you say, people put them in the same room, because we address things together. We solve problems together. I love when people pop in, they're like, all right, here's the issue I'm working with. You got a whole room full of professionals and be like, I've been there, done that. This is what I did, right? It's wonderful to be able to work together with others that have some experience in the same areas that you're at, right? Some of the same challenges, and be able to work each other through those problems together, or being able to white label and develop those relationships on who works well together, good synergy partners. I love our group on Wednesdays. So it's same bat time as our Tuesday broadcast. So it's on 8 a.m. on Pacific time, 11 East Coast time on Wednesday. So if you go to givermarketing.com/networking, register once, save the link, put it on your calendar, come visit, drop in, say hi, make some new friends. We're really friendly in there. We have a lot of fun. So come play with us, because we love having that sense of community. That's really what the Giver Marketing Network is about. This is our give back. This is our free. This is no cost, right? So this is just where we like to build community. So come be part of our community.
Cool. Christine, can you put that in the comments real quick? I want to make sure everybody has that. And we look forward to seeing you at the networking time for marketing, communications, media professionals who don't want to ride solo. They'd like to work in teams, collaborate a little bit more, share resources, be able to work on projects together that are a little bit higher caliber. If you've ever been in a situation as a marketing, communications, or media professional where you're like, man, I could go after that client if I just had a bigger team, if I just had a few more people that weren't, maybe off doing some other things, like they would actually be willing to work with me on a project. I'm not talking about hiring somebody from Fiverr. I'm talking about actual people that you actually go in as a team and say, look, we got a team, we can handle this. Just give us one shot at it and we'll do it. And they end up writing the larger checks or sending the larger amounts of revenue, because you actually come in as a team instead of a solo. And we all know you can get paid more as a team. Like, that's just how it works psychologically. People, even if you could do the same amount of work and just burn the midnight oil and do it sort of yourself, just knowing that you have that safety net where there's specialists and team members that are working together. Christine, Deane have been in situations where if we didn't have a team, it wasn't going to happen. Like, there's just not enough time in the day. So, and specialists for that matter, just to make sure it gets done right. And then team to be able to collaborate on that level. White labeling each other's services, nothing wrong with that. Being able to have that conversation when that's appropriate, when that maybe doesn't make sense, and just how to navigate that. So definitely see you at givermarketing.com/networking, which is on Wednesdays. Depending on your time zone, it'll be 8 a.m. Pacific. What is that? What time is that Eastern? 11 a.m. Eastern?
That's 11, yeah. And I'm Central, right? I'm in Texas. So I'm always like, I always give the Central time. And really, there's not as many people in Central, it feels like. So I feel like the forgotten time zone.
Yeah, there's a couple of forgotten time zones. So we always do the Pacific and then the East Coast time zones. And so there it
The
is.
mountain time, now there really are the forgotten time zone. I'm just saying. Whatever your time zone, get there, be there. Come join us tomorrow. We're looking forward to seeing you then. Thank you
All right.
so much.
Blessings. Bye. That was awesome.